Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 is one of those scriptures where Jesus drops a bombshell you would never find in most of the kind of conversations he has with people and even the disciples. And what does he say? He says, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. I find this to be a very fundamental requirement for pursuing destiny and your purpose in God. Because if I don't deny myself, I can't pick up my cross. And if I don't pick up my cross, I can't follow him. And sometimes you could be following Jesus without your cross. He didn't say you should pick up his cross, but you pick up your cross because he picked up his cross for himself. You got to pick up your cross for yourself. But in looking at this kind of three-step, if you like, verification like we have on social media apps and so on and so forth, it seems to me that if you don't pick up, not that if you don't pick up, but if you don't deny yourself, you can't pick up your cross. And if you don't pick up your cross, you can't follow him. And so the denying yourself becomes sort of like the most difficult aspect of what God requires for you and me to do. What is denying yourself? Doesn't mean you should cut yourself away from the system, cut yourself away from socialization and civilization and go and live on the fringes of the earth in some God-forsaken area and live a life of destitution, lack, deprivation, and unnecessary self-inflicted suffering and so on and so forth. That's not really what deny yourself is. But deny yourself is putting self in check so that self does not control my life and stop me from being controlled by Christ. Deny yourself means denying yourself. So I got self in my life that I must deny. Listen. If you don't deny self, self will take a hold of your life, control you to your own detriment. And denying self means that I must become selfless. Selfless. In other words, it's not as if self is completely cut out of the picture, but it becomes less. To be selfish, or if you like, self-full, means that I think of myself only and I'm unable to incorporate the needs of others or how beneficial I can be to others in my life. So everything I'm doing is just about me. If I'm not getting any benefit, I'm not interested. There is no interest in extending myself to that place where I can become of true benefit and true profit to the lives of other people. And so Jesus says, if you will come after me, you've got to be that kind of person. You must have enough room in your inventory for the benefit of other people. And one of the things we're going to be realizing in this teaching, that I'm trying to share with people in the Builders Dream Church is this, that when you are not selfless and you don't deny yourself, you narrow the space of your own productivity and fruitfulness. What do I mean? When it's all about you, you never pour out into anybody. And if you're not pouring out into anybody, nobody is pouring into you. And it keeps going on, that cycle keeps running, it keeps running. And you get to a place where now nothing is coming in. You have to make do with the resources that are just available to you. Before long, your harvests shrink, you start becoming extinct, your resources are meager, and that affects the potential that you could have as a person. But when we deny ourselves, like Jesus said, you become like a seed that dies so that it can have a resurrection. And in the hopes of the resurrection, you can have the abundance of a harvest, that is fruitfulness that God wants for you. In Genesis, we learn that first thing God does to man is he blesses man and says, be fruitful and multiply. Not be fruitful or multiply. So you become fruitful, and in addition to being fruitful, you multiply. That's what God is talking about. Now let's break this thing down. What this thing means is that God is looking at you, understanding that he gives you seed In Isaiah 55:10, somewhere down there, he says that he gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So if God is saying be fruitful and multiply, what it simply means is that I've given you seed to guarantee my promise of you being fruitful and multiplying. If I will sow the seed, tend it, water it, God will give the increase, and it will result in fruitfulness. And so God gives me fruitfulness in response to my seed sowing. And I'm not talking about money, because a lot of time when you talk about seed sowing, people are thinking about money in an envelope. That's not what I'm talking about. But for anything where you have an expected outcome, there's something you are looking at as the end result, always has a seed you must put in place. You cannot have withdrawals if you don't have an investment. Really crazy for you to just walk to any bank and say, I want $1,000. Yes, you want it, and nobody's blaming you for wanting it. But how can I want $1,000 if I've not made any deposits in that same place? They'll look at me like I'm whack crazy. So what God wants you to understand is, I will give you seed to guarantee the harvest or the fruitfulness that I have promised you. If you will commit yourself to doing the work of a sower, God will commit himself to you becoming an eater. And that's how we create the fruitfulness that God is speaking about in Genesis. But it doesn't end there. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Guess what? If you sow the seed and God gives you increase and you become fruitful, the fruitfulness is what you take to create the multiplication. So without fruitfulness, you cannot multiply. And a lot of times in life, guy, girl, you and me, we have this thing where we are just hustling just to become fruitful. God wants more than that for your life. God wants you to come to the place where you hit the fruitful level, and then you take the fruitful level, and then you multiply, you diversify with it through his wisdom. But you cannot do that if you don't deny yourself. Except a grain of corn fall to the ground and die, it abides alone. But if it dies, it yields a great harvest. And that should be what it is for your life. Deny yourself is what we are looking at, and it's packed with good news. Follow the message. There's a lot to gain from it. Walk in fruitfulness and expand and multiply. God bless you.